LFM Esports is on trend to get their first series win in Phase 2, one that I think above all else would be relieving for this team.
Relief, I think, is an understatement. For them, I feel they've been so close to just getting there. And getting that first victory under your belt has to feel good, and they're one game away from it. So relieving, I think, is definitely there, but confidence as well for a team that, bringing in Fury, the veteran experience, they're still following his leadership, and it's been there. It's just getting it to come together, and right now it's coming together.
Yeah, there have been some moments throughout this phase that we've seen from this team where the confidence has wavered, definitely wavered. And so getting that first win, it was something that I talked to with the Aware when I interviewed him and asked him, you know, what would it feel like to finally get that first win? And he said it would just be relief. At this point, we just want to get a win so that we know we can do it.
Sometimes you just got to see it one time, and then it makes it so much easier to go forward. LFM, they're going to get map pick Simplicity, always favoring that first pick. So we get Infernal Shrines, and after game number 1, seeing the Aware bust out the old Alex Straza, I can guarantee you that Alex Straza will be high priority here for LFM.
If Alex's priority rises on other maps because of Lifebinder,
and even more so here,
does she rise straight into a ban?
Almost. I almost thought you were going to ban yourself off that
platform that I stand on.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm naturally this tall. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I can take a
Don't.
picture. I can take a picture.
Don't.
It's custom made.
It is.
Even has like 4 Gillyweed written on
It's
it.
my home. It doesn't.
Brightwing logo and everything. I promise.
In my heart, it does.
With Alliance banners everywhere.
No.
So moving on, Alex Straza, I think might warrant a first ban. Now that we have 2 bans, I think it does. We've seen it against other teams. I think this is where it's at. Alliance banners.
Alex Straza's Horde, right? Definitely Horde. Alex Straza.
What?
Brightwing, all for the Horde. Horde is
You
best.
can't spell-
Hashtag Horde is best.
You can't spell Alliance without Alex Straza.
Yes. Anybody else? Equinox's Sonya maybe on Shrines?
We've seen Simplicity bust out the old school Illidan strats with Zuna. We saw Tempo Storm bust out Illidan strats with Glaurung. And if
On
I
Shrines.
give you Zuna, Glaurung to complete the trifecta on melee assassins with the biggest history, you get Equinox and Sonya.
Except, you could say that about Equinox and like any melee assassin, like Equinox Sonya, Equinox Illidan, or I raise you this. What did you want last game?
I don't know, probably Sylvanas?
Kerrigan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Give me Kerrigan. I think for LFM, though, they're going to play the super standard. They want to not only get this first win, but to get it so decisively. 3-0 to give them all the confidence in the world as they go into their later matches down the road.
So Simplicity bans Genji. Right now, Jimmy Rayner is available. Jimmy Rayner. I'm just waiting to say it. I'm just, don't ban him. Gosh, dang it.
Sorry, buddy. Simplicity with the first pick down.
Urel picked up. Alex Straza is coming at you.
Uh-huh.
Right? I mean, is there any other hero that doesn't come in here?
I think there's a possibility that this is Blaze. If we're not holding an Equinox pick. If this is not Equinox showboating, then this probably Blaze and Alex. Nice 2 picks. I don't know if we'll see a return to the old Alex build here because it's Shrines, it's a globe map, it's very easy to build that up, but it does have some synergy with Blaze if he wants to take new habits at level 1. Not usually
LFM
the pick, though.
is one of our teams that has played Tychus, and Tychus is generally a hero that does make it through to the later ends of the draft. Figgy's played that. Gives you a lot of frontline control versus Yrel. Now Murden's here. You're very tanky as Tychus.
I think Simplicity needs to ban Diablo, or Fury's gonna be slamming people into walls. Anything else you'd rather see?
The Diablo ban to me makes a lot of sense for LFM. Obviously the front line is there. Malfurion, Deckard. I think Deckard is the biggest one here because they're Emerald at level 7 to deny those heals.
Yeah.
The targeted heals from Alexstrasza. A lot of sustain on this battleground, and the denial there in particular with the roots and the healing reduction. Great ban there by LFM.
Scroll of Sealing, even take away the heal reduction, seems to be working super well for teams versus Alexstrasza. So that is a fantastic ban from LFM. Now do Simplicity ban the Diablo? Is it somebody else like the Jaina? They've had a lot of Jaina bans here versus LFM and Figgy.
Johanna would be the other one.
Yeah, but I agree. I totally agree. It's just that Fury has not... He's played, I think, 1, maybe 2 Johanna games, and it does not fit that LFM, like, in-your-face style.
He's like, look, if somebody's killing somebody, I'm doing it. Because I'm
Yeah.
on Murden or Diablo. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on this one. But now, does that maybe bring it up here? Tychus? If you get Tychus, Johanna, Alexstrasza, I mean, how do you lose a shrine?
Ooh.
With ETC Gul'dan. ETC fallen out of favor in a lot of ways. Still big playmaking potential.
29% win rate coming into this weekend for North America. There's so much blow up, so much damage, so much poke, and stun lock now, and lockdown for Simplicity. Fury's gonna have to, wow, choose his engagements wisely.
Especially against the Junkrat. You slide in at any given moment, you probably don't make it up. The Junkrat pickup, obviously a denial for Mosh Pit, but also very good in terms of Shrine Clear.
Last pick, we already see a Figgy Mage emerging with Gul'dan. We may be able
Over
to...
the Jaina, by the way. We still get Tychus. But Gul'dan over Jaina, does that surprise you as much as it does me? Like, obviously...
Not on Shrines. Only because of what they previously picked.
I think the thing that I have... So, the synergy of a Jaina ETC to me speaks volumes because you power slide, and if you power slide in aggressively, Jaina is one of the few people that can make sure and burst kill people. Gul'dan is a very slow, sustained style. Tychus obviously can burst down frontliners with his minigun, but as Fury, his engagements as an ETC are extremely limited, which is why Johanna holding point a little bit longer than an ETC does is a bit more favorable. I'd say that if you're going ETC, Jaina would have high priority. Gul'dan I think is great for the map, but synergy-wise, it doesn't necessarily stand out to me as much as Johanna Gul'dan versus ETC Jaina. Those styles would be more traditional to me.
Right, that's exactly the point that I wanted to bring up is they have played Gul'dan here more than Jaina on Infernal Shrines, and I think it does speak to the map and what they have played, what they feel comfortable with here, but it is a more safe style of play. You are sacrificing that burst follow-up to an ETC and an aggressive ETC because it's Fury with Jaina to have a Horrify in case things start to go wrong. And when we have seen LFM draft and play this kind of style before, it has not looked as strong as when they choose the engagements, when Fury chooses the engagements and they have the follow-up behind it. But we'll see how it works out for LFM, as they do have a lot of strong heroes for Infernal Shrines and for the Shrine fights in particular.
There is one player in the entire world that I would say that if you want to see how to play, and don't get me wrong, because he can play it aggressively, but a defensive ETC, the one player who I've never seen somebody capture the defensive ETC better than anybody is Breeze. The way that he manages the hero, whether it's from an offensive or defensive standpoint, I've never seen somebody do it quite as well as he has on the defensive side of things. Obviously very good on the offensive side of things, but he is an absolutely standout, phenomenal player on ETC in that regard. Somebody that I never see anybody else play it like that.
I mean, it's so much so that there was a time when he kept getting ETC banned against him by Korean teams because they had so much respect for ETC, or Breeze's ETC specifically. One thing I want to highlight is the last time that we saw Figgy play Gul'dan, he was looking to make plays for Horrify, And Equinox, this is a long road back to top.
Yeah, Jet Propulsion was used before Murden showed up, so the minute Murden shows up, he's like, yeah, this is not good.
Really well done to control this rotation even further. What I was saying before is when we saw LFM play versus Endemic, Figgy wanted to set up and make plays with this Gul'dan and the Horrify, but sometimes would sacrifice his own positioning, trying to get a good Horrify. And that was on a Phoenix when he was hoping that he could knock him out of a warp to get the kill, but should he step out too far, there's a lot of lockdown, and there's the concussion mines of Junkrat, so Figgy has to watch out for that. We don't see a whole lot of Gul'dan because it is a punishing hero to try to play on.
See if we get maybe a Dragon Zero to hit that back line. Murden, as we've seen a lot of Murdens this phase, have been very aggressive, especially with the Storm Bolt stacking, and this is going to make stacking a bit easier as Equinox does manage to Jet Propulsion, buy himself a little bit of time there.
Maybe he'll receive a heal. These teams continue to rotate around, but Simplicity being very aggressive, trying to look for options for picks on somebody, and it feels like there's been a big bullseye painted on Equinox in that top lane. But so far only getting the one. Now teams will start to work on getting their Shaman camp as we are 30 seconds out from that first shrine.
Figgy has 8 stacks. Still a ways to go, but given the limited engagements we generally see in the early part of this map, respectable. So those continue to stack up. Also, not the bigger they are. Instead, we're going to see... that is the bigger they are, excuse me. For some reason, that looked gray to me at first, but that is indeed a yellow tint.
Yeah, they changed when they got rid of the other talent that was there.
It's colors to me.
Mm-hmm. The change-up I'm looking at level 4 is Aegis of Light. Previously, still seeing Gift of the Naru for the heal. This time, Zuna's going to be able to keep the armor going and give some of that supporting over to help out with any damage that LFM's going out, or trying to put out, along with that Malfurion.
So there's some great defensive play there by ETC. Now a little bit behind in this race is LFM. They're going to use the Dragon Queen to try and catch back up here. King Caffeine holding the line. His Dwarf Toss interrupted there, and the Power Slide in the knockback. But Caffeine ends up getting burned by Blaze there. So that's one thing that ETC does do well. But ETC Concussion Mine does manage to slide over to a Globe. LFMs are still behind in this race.
What I liked from LFM using that Dragon Queen early is they knew they needed to get a kill, and they did secure it. But that Concussion Mine was the biggest wrench in a plan I think I have ever seen, and now that wrench is about to be a whole lot more. Another Concussion Mine as this time though Zuna goes down. Can they stay on this abundance? They do. They hold the point, and that keeps LFM from losing more. But this whole time Simplicity forces LFM up, which gives time for this Punisher to freely push. The gate is down, and this bait is gonna pull in King Caffeine along with it. LFM are so low.
Equinox was so lucky to get away on that last one. He had used this Jet Propulsion early on the point. That's why they ended up trying to get the kill, but the fact that LFM turned that around, and I don't want to say they got away with one because it was very well countered, but Equinox forcing that engagement. But experience a little bit in favor of Simplicity, despite being down 2 kills to 1.
So often in NA, we see teams contest Alexstrasza teams on that first shrine and end up losing it. They weren't counter pushing or anything like that, and so that's the point where they start to fall behind. But for Simplicity, though they did lose a kill, or 2 kills, they were still able to get the Punisher, which equalized things out quite well for them. They still maintain a little bit of an experience lead, and they have been able to keep up this aggression with camp invades. Not going to go too far in. Droplets from the side, looking at Tiger JK, but it does keep them trying to be as aggressive as possible so they can continue to look for some of those kills.
Well, as you had pointed out in our previous game, Holy Avenger being picked up again by Equinox, again furthering, or excuse me, not the Equinox, but this time by Zuna, keeping up to that similar playstyle of Equinox, that they like to be aggressive, and when you're on shrines, there's a lot of jumping to be had in this area because you hold a point more so than worrying about those rotations with Divine Steed. So the similarities between these two players continue to hold.
Power slide and the follow-up damage from LFM is there to half King Caffeine's bar. He's the one to tank it. That's who you want. Being Muradin, you can heal back up. Those two talents together are very interesting to me, Aegis of Light and Holy Avenger, because Aegis of Light, you want to Avenging Wrap land on your allies, because that gives the armor, but then Holy Avenger, you're wanting to land and hit an enemy hero, because it has to be at maximum charge, and then that reduces the cooldown to 1 second. So I'm not sure if the play there is he's going to be focusing on an enemy first, get the slow, the 50% slow that you get from that, and then that's starting to set up to have the follow-up crowd control, and then after that he will be dropping the armor down on his teammates. We're just going to have to watch Zuna and how he wants to play this one out, because he's played a lot of Ural. We've seen many Ural games with him, so he knows what he's doing.
Every time Muradin goes in, Equinox is trying to get on top of him, or excuse me, Fury is trying to get on top of him with the ETC, and then trying to interrupt the Dwarf Taunts. Every single time. This is more of a defensive style of ETC, but he's putting himself in position to make those plays. He just missed out on that one in the middle, but that is something he is very much trying to make known. King Caffeine sees Blaze pass by, knows that that's not the hero that he intends on killing. Finds Fury, gets a stack, Dwarf tosses away, making sure everybody's back to safety as we prepare for Shrine number 2.
Well, everybody has handled every other camp on the map except for the Shaman. Both teams looking to get these. We'll see who ends up getting the clear on this better to force back someone off of the Shrine. Mosh Pit now up. There's some interrupts that Simplicity has, but we've seen Fury be able to have a good time of getting a Mosh Pit even against a lot of interrupt teams just because he is so patient with it.
See the knockback there onto Zuna as Fury uses that face melt. Tries to get control. Fury holding point as the healing goes down, but Zuna denies all of that as he smacks him with a big hammer, controls that point. LFM does find themselves ahead in the early going. This time they're going to get the Dragon out as well as the Odin. Two great controls over this.
Jet propulsion and the power slide. Dragon's Arrow hits 3. Figgy is the one I'm immediately concerned about, but with the bunker there, he'll get through a lot of that. Fury thrown to the wolves from the concussion mine as he's the one who comes out of that bunker, and that is not where LFM wants to be. Now one person down, uses the life binder, no Dragon Queen, no Odin, a lot of things gone, but still hanging in, hoping that they can get this Shrine. Zuna jumps forward with the Ardent Defender, separating Equinox away from the rest, and second kill for Simplicity.
Figgy did complete his level 1 quest, which is why we see him there, getting that extra range on his Spell Flame. But I think now the threat is too much, and Simplicity is caught back up. This is going to be Punisher number 2. I think that this Shrine is always difficult. No matter if you have Dragon Queen and Odin, it's such a difficult Shrine, and the concussion mine, I think, really turned that fight in favor of Simplicity. But the Dragon Queen and the Odin on the other 2 Shrines, a bit more control, as there's a lot of follow-up. Fury being targeted. Horrify used there to buy a little bit of time.
It's hard to know who to bait with, because that follow-up is going to be there every time Simplicity with this composition gets a Punisher. They use the bunker this time so that he can bait it and then jump in. Now LFM not only want to deal with the Punisher, they're ideally going to get some picks because they're starting to fall behind in experience. Tranquility keeps Simplicity healthy. LFM turns back around to bring down the Punisher, but not before likely losing this fort. Yes, it does go down. Great body blocks.
King Caffeine, if he survives here, I think it'll be almost a miracle as the follow-up. Avatar's used, there's going to be the stun.
Grenade 2, perfect power slide. And they had the slows from the oil. It was a long way to try to run away. He did what he could. Simplicity lose 1, but they get the fort.
More importantly than the fort is that LFM committed all 5 members for defense. Junkrat has pretty good wave clears. He was constantly rotating mid and bot, getting a lot of XP in the process. And that's, I think, forcing LFM here to try and get back in this game so much that they're committing Odin to get this fort. Bunker goes down. That'll eat the fort shots, but those have fallen. Odin's still trying to power away. Fury gets the power slide over onto Zuna, but here comes Figgy.
Figgy, who has Horrify, ETC has Mosh too. Equinox hoping for the lockdown after the fact, but the lockdown's gonna be there for Simplicity instead, and a Horrify is necessary.
For Simplicity, I think that they held. You know, they didn't lose the fort. It's just a formality at this point, but hold on. Fury becomes the primary focus as King Caffeine and team going in. But the experience still in favor of Simplicity just due to that Junkrat soaking, and LFM has not been anywhere near those bottom lanes in quite some time.
And not just the Junkrat soaking, but you have to start looking at the last shrine was top, which is where the fort's already down. Simplicity has a major power play that they could play if they could make the rotations right and work out for them with the next couple of minutes in the mercenary camps. But no matter what, no matter where the next shrine would have been, which it's going to be in bottom, they've already done some fort damage. And as we've seen, Simplicity follows up hard with Punisher leaps. LFM needs to start winning some of these Punishers. They need to start doing what the shrine or what the composition was designed for them to do. Zuna has juked and jived.
Every second he buys here just enables the bot lane. That entire fort is now gone, and it looks like they're going to grab the camp as well. Yes, they're going to lose top fort, and it looks like LFM is going to make a play to grab this camp. And so long as they minimize a lot of the damage from that camp, which they can easily do if they just send somebody back, they're going to have to see that. And the minute they see that, they need to send Junkrat back. But that, as you said, the shrine here in the bottom, now in favor of Simplicity, who are also getting really close to 16.
Yeah, they're rounding that crucial talent here, largely because of, as I reiterate, that amazing macro control in the bottom lane, being able to get that Zuna, using Ardent Defender, and wasting a lot of LFM's time. LFM wants to be together. This is not a stage dive ETC. This is Fury trying to set up kills for the team, and Simplicity has been punishing that a lot.
Okay, Simplicity waited for Urel to respawn before they sent Zuna up to deal with that camp. He's now dealt with that. 16 is close. If they can get somebody mid to get 1 or 2 minions, they'll also get some trickle-down experience here. King Caffeine, holding point, Riptire coming out as well. Simplicity doing a good job at least keeping this somewhat even, but Dragon Queen and Odin still available. Here comes 16, and here comes...
Oh, Figgy is gone before Dragon's Arrow even went out. Droplets is trying to go into Odin. He'll get the Lifebinder healing, and Aware is continuing to keep this team healed up in the choke. But a mine splits them apart. Again, Hosty has been all over this team as Equinox just hopes to escape now. Great stop of the Dwarf Toss. Fury's gonna knock him back at only 1 kill gained. I wanted to say that was a defining moment, a very important choice for LFM to make. Are they willing, with the lead that they did have in Skeletal Defenders, to try to stick around, to use the Dragon Queen, to use the Odin, and would Simplicity be scared to walk away? The answer was no. As they hit 16 and as Zuna showed up, Figgy was the prime target. They jumped in, they stun locked him, and they killed him before that Horrify ever had a chance of going off.
Well, the Impalers still have remnants available to keep almost all the way down before this Punisher gets here. Keep wall, I should say. For LFM, they have to defend here. They still have Horrify if they want to buy time.
If they win this fight, that top lane will look really good. There was the Horrify. Fury is still under pressure,
wow.
Still in danger. And now he's fallen, and this looks better and better for a Simplicity win.
Here they go. They keep starting to fall. Still a lot of damage out, but Odin nowhere near. Zuna follows up onto that Punisher who's being baited over. Now we'll turn his attention in. King Caffeine, he comes in, trying to get the follow-up. Lifebinder's gonna knock Equinox back in, send him back to 100% health. Now that the keep has fallen, there's still the camp that's available. The Punisher jumped in, the shield's starting to fall.
Riptire out, Punisher dealt with. Tranquility keeping the team healthy as a Stormbolt and Roots make their way onto Tychus, taking him down. 70% is the core of LFM as Fury comes back.
You gotta be careful of the mosh.
That Stormbolt, Figgy is gone, the mosh pit.
Still available.
He was just dancing.
He's holding into place, 30% falling. Simplicity trying to go or take a game in this series, and it looks like they've managed to do that behind some clutch team fights. And dare I say, some pretty decent macro control. The minute Junkrat kept up with that double soak during that second Punisher in the top, that extended the lead so far beyond that it started to force LFM to start to use the Odin towards that top fort, which they were unsuccessful at first. And then the rotation up onto Zuna, that forced that out the entire time. Simplicity pushed in that bot lane and opened up that win condition, and they capitalized on it right there.
Whether it's a matter of adaptations to the current meta or adaptations because of the third ban, feels like Junkrat is here to stay, now being chosen in both of our series today. And it almost maybe seems like LFM forgot what exactly his power level was, especially once he gets 13 and can dual soak so effectively and be so mobile around the map. But again, it was a composition that for LFM needed to focus on shrines, and I feel like that spelled not good things for them even after the first shrine when they lost that to Simplicity, and Simplicity just knowing exactly what they needed to do if they were going to contest on those shrines.
Well, ETC did a really good job. Fury did on those face melts, interrupting several dwarf tosses, including one jump by Urel in the middle of all that. It's just the follow-up. Where's the follow-up? Gul'dan, yes, you get the extra range at level 1, but it's not the damage. Jaina in that situation. Gul'dan at level 16, very different. They got to 16 in the end when you get the rampant Hell Flames where you spike up that damage every time you hit a hero. But by that point, they were so far behind that Johanna, again, maybe have been there. Jaina, any combination of that, because you have the shrine control with the dragon and the Odin, but if you can't hold that point because ETC is so squishy, then it does become an issue.
And they couldn't hold the point, too, because of mines. There were a couple of 4 or 5-man concussion mines from Junkrat. What are you going to do? Everyone piles on top of the shrine. And then to knock the team that far out, a lot of times ETC had already used his power slide, too, so he was so zoned away from the rest of the team. It was a very easy pickup for Simplicity to get that 1 kill on ETC, but also behind that, having wave clear that could compensate and keep up with that of what LFM was doing allowed them to keep up with the shrine until those moments happened.
Well, Junkrat functions a lot of the same way that Urel does against something like Medivh, is that you want to go in this portal, you want to stand on this healing point. Well, I know when it's coming, and I know when it's going to be there, and that's what Junkrat does against Medivh, and now against Alexstrasza. You have targeted areas to put the concussion mine down, and it wasn't just those. It was several moments where he found ETC standing, and the minute you overextend 1 step and you can't get out of there, the Junkrat pick was definitely a very smart pickup, and if we continue to see more Alexstrasza, I imagine we'll see more Junkrat start to spike up. And as you said, with the draft in particular, you ban out a lot of the assassins. There's still some others you can pick on.
Well, now we're just waiting to find out what LFM wants to do after that loss, if they're going to pick first pick or battleground choice. They have, in the previous series, chosen a little bit of everything, both of those options. With Sky Temple still being up, that is a likely choice for them to give up first pick so that they can go there.
If you pick Sky Temple, it now brings Abathur into the rotation of the first bans, which starts to open the door for Genji, Tracer, things of that nature that you might not be willing to want to deal with. It's all the other battlegrounds that aren't necessarily Abathur battlegrounds, unless your name is ADRD. Then you can start to prioritize bans differently and have more balanced drafts, as we've seen, I guess more neutral drafts, not those big power spike heroes like Genji and Tracer. So Sky Temple could be a double-edged sword maybe with the new ban phase.
We're going to check back in with the cheers now because the numbers have been rising. Good job, friends at home, for cheering on teams, cheering on it here for HGC. Jay Howe and I are getting pumped for Game 4 between Simplicity LFM. You know, if it's LFM who picks first pick, Simplicity is likely to take us to Cursed Hollow.
I'm just glad that camera wasn't on us for that one, because
it's not often we get a Lucio jam.
It's not often you see me dance either.
It's still going.
I'm just going to emulate what you're doing, which apparently is like a rowboat. Like,
no, this is the rowboat. This is the
snow skier?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that it? Like, there's the sprinkler, the lawnmower.
Mm-hmm. The salt shaker. Or
the
pepper grinder.
Okay.
The rainer. Give them all the pepper. All of it. We're still waiting on teams to pick the map, what they would like to go to. But I think we're just about to have it.